Okay, Bismillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Let's start our ayah, which is verse number 18 today. Alhamdulillah, there's nothing I can see that's really new. There's no real new rules in this one, inshallah. So hopefully most of the things that we'll be saying will be reminders for you, and just a very good opportunity to really just apply and practice what you've already learned, inshallah. If we can start with the isti'adha, Rukhsana. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
جزاكم الله خيرا. Sister Humar, the Basmala, please. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Let's try again. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
So when you say Bismillahir Rahman, you just want to make sure that both the ra's are heavy for that one. The second one was the next one was much better. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Jazakumullah khairan. Sister Radia, we're going to read the first part of this ayah, and then we're going to go till here, inshallah. Okay, let's have a recite. So, inshallah, get ready, everybody. I hope you're all reciting with me as well. وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِن قَبْلِهِمْ.
ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم.
Okay, that wasn't too bad, alhamdulillah. We just need to work on your heavy letter, but we'll do that inshallah in a minute. So we have here وَلَقَدْ, the wa. Now what you notice here is really in this part of the ayah, you only have the qaf and the qaf again, and that's it in terms of heavy letters. Those are the only isti'la letters you have. So most of this ayah is recited lightly. Okay, it's a gentle kind of recitation. But the qafs, whenever you have the qafs, that's where you have to think about, okay, which direction is my voice in? So your makhraj, mashallah, is very good for that, Sister Radia, for the qaf. The only thing you're not getting is the direction of the voice pointing up and going diagonally upwards. So you don't say wala qad, you want to say wala qa, wala qad, wala qad. Try that again.
ولقد.
And take it steady with the wala qad.
ولقد.
That's much better. Jazakumullah khairan. We do have the dal here, and dal, and today, inshallah, alhamdulillah, I actually have thought of something that I can discuss with you, inshallah. I think we do have the time. The dal and the qalqala. Okay, so dal is part of the qalqala letters, the bouncy letters as they're called. Most people are quite familiar with at least this sort of rule of tajweed. The letters that have qalqala are put into the phrase qutubu jad or qutubu jadin. And so it's the qaf, the ta, ba, jim, and dal. Now the qalqala is there for a reason. It's not just there just to make it sound, just to make it, the recitation sound more beautiful, although it does do that as well. But there is a more important reason why you have the qalqala. When you recite a letter of qalqala, like the qaf and the ta and the ba, the jim, and the dal, all of these letters, when you pronounce them with a sukoon, like they are here, okay, when they are read with a sukoon, when they are joint, the sound is cut off. It's remember, it's not linu'uma, it's not tawassut, it's not rakhawa, it's not one where you leave the sound running. The sound cuts off, okay? And also, these are not airy letters. They don't have the breath. You don't hear the breath running with them, okay? And because of that, because when you're to hear somebody pronouncing a letter, you have to hear either the sound of their voice or the sound of their breath or both. But in these cases, with these 5 letters, what you're getting is when they have a sukoon on them and they're being joined, is that the sound is shutting off and the breath is shutting off. So what you're actually saying is wala qad, wala qad. It's not clear. It's not very clear that I'm saying the dal. I could have been pronouncing letter ta for all you know, right? Wala qad, or I might be pronouncing the letter ta. It's very hard to tell. And that's why the qalqala is then brought in. Because with the Quran, with the recitation of the Quran, nothing is left to be, misinterpreted. There is no opportunity for a listener to misunderstand or hear it in a letter being pronounced wrong if the actual reciter is reciting it correctly. So if you are reciting this correctly and you are going to the correct makhraj of the dal, and you are cutting off the sound and you're cutting off the breath, then it means that without the qalqala, it's very hard to hear these sounds. If I said, for example, the qaf, and I said aq, aq, I stop the sound, stop the breath. If I say the ta, ab, ab. If I say the ba, ab, jim, ad, dal, ad, they are all, they can easily be mixed up with each other. And that's why when you bring the qalqala in, it then makes it very clear that we're pronouncing it down. When you say wala qad, that bounce off the makhraj and that continuation where your sound is brought back in when you do the qalqala makes it very clear then to the listener what letter is being pronounced. Okay, that's why you have the qalqala, is to make it clear what letter is being read. So it's a very important rule. It is very, very important. So the qalqala is always just a very natural bounce, like I have mentioned before. It shouldn't change in terms of heavy or making the letter, pronouncing it in a tilted way, for example. So you don't want to say, here we've got the heavy letter before. You don't want the heaviness to transfer and say wala qad, for example, wala qad, become heavy, right? You don't want to do that. You don't want to try too hard to make it light, because then you'll say wala qad, and you're just ending with a very big smile, and it's just sounding like a de, and it shouldn't be de at all. Okay, it's de. It's a very natural wala qad, qad. Okay, it's very natural, and and because it's so natural, we end that bounce naturally too. In other words, you don't want an abrupt ending. You don't want to say wala qad. Okay, you don't want to say wala qad, that sudden stop, jerk at the end. You don't want that either, because what you're doing then is you're bringing in the letter hamza and ending it with a hamza. So you don't want to do that either. So very gentle, just a natural bounce. Wala qad, wala qad. Try that again, Sister Radhiya, please.
Wala qad.
Jazakumullahu khairan. Then we have the next word, we have the kadhaba, right? Now we have the kaf followed by the dhal. Now the dhal is being joined. The dhal is a rakhawa letter. You keep it running fast. Keep the dhal. And you don't want it with you don't want just breath. You don't want to just say kadh, right? You got to hear the sound of your voice. Kadh, kadh. So you keep the dhal running, then you go on to the fatha. Kadhaba وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ. Okay, we do have 2 letter dhals here. They should both be really, the way that your tongue touches the upper 2 front teeth should be the same for both. And what I'm talking about here is the gentleness with which you touch the bottom edge of the upper 2 front teeth. كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ. Okay, nice and light. So let's try up till here now, Sister Radhiya. وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ.
وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ.
Not bad. Jazakumullahu khairan. And then we have here, we have the مِن قَبْلِهِمْ. Just tidy that up. So we have here, we've seen this before in the first ayah when we had شَيْءٍ قَدِير. We have noon sakin followed by the letter qaf. Again, this is your ikhfa haqiqi. Okay, now ikhfa haqiqis are generally the same technique. Remember, we talked about getting ready for the next letter, so you do that again. But we did say that the qaf and the kaf are a little bit different, because in this case, you're not actually getting ready for the next letter. You're not going close. Under normal circumstances, you're going close to the next letter, but you're not pressing there yet. But with the qaf and the kaf, you actually press on the makhraj. Okay, you block it. Okay, so just to remind you, let me show you the image that we had. Let me show you this one first. This is the normal ikhfa, so this is not the qaf and the kaf. So we said here that you've got this, you look, if you look very carefully here, there's a small gap between the tongue and the space behind the upper two front teeth. It's not blocked completely. I am going to get rid of my marking so that you can see it more clearly. There you go. So you can see that there's a pathway for this arrow to squeeze through. So you're very close to the makhraj, but it's not blocked. That's the point, okay? It's not blocked, so the sound can travel. If you go now to the next, if we go to the next one, the one that we're doing today, which is the qaf and the kaf, okay? Now what you'll see is, we know that the qaf and the kaf, the makhraj is at the back, and I'm going to focus on this one today because this one is for the letter qaf. You'll notice that now the back of the tongue, look, there is absolutely no space here for the sound to travel through. There's no space here at all, okay? You're actually pressing on the makhraj of qaf, okay? You're pressing on it. And therefore, because you're pressing on it, now there's no arrows going this way through the mouth because you've blocked that pathway up completely. So this time the sound is going up and all through the nose. That's what you want to hear, okay? You've got it going through the nasal cavity and then through the nose and out, okay? That's the pathway for the sound. There's no other pathway for it. And if you're pressing on the makhraj correctly for the qaf, then you'll notice that your ghunna will automatically, if your tongues move to the right place, then the ikhfa will sound correct. Remember we said that if you've got a heavy letter after it, then it should sound heavy. You don't want to say meow, you want to say meow, nice and heavy, meow, okay? You have to remember to say the me first, okay? So hear yourself say the kasra of the me. So you don't say me, for example. You don't say ming. You don't say ming, ming, qablihim. Also here you'll notice that you've got the ba again. And ba we said was part of qutubu jad. Okay, it's part of the heavy, the bouncy letters. Okay, so we've dealt with a dal. We've had a dal. Now we're seeing the letter ba, which is also a bouncy letter. It's also one of the ones that we hear almost like a, sometimes they call it an echo as well. Bounce is probably a better translation. So here you're saying min qa, then the qa is still heavy even when you say the fatha, and then when you're going to say the ba, you shift back to light. Min qablihim. Try that, Sister Radia.
Min qablihim.
That's right. Okay. Yes. And the qalqala letters are only bouncy when they have a sukoon on them. That's right, Sister Zainab. Whenever you have the letter qaf, ta, ba, jim, da, only when they have a sukoon, then we do the bounce. Because when these letters have a fatha, for example, when I say qa, it's very clear what letter I'm saying. There's no need. I'm not shutting off the sound and shutting off the air when I say qa. It's very clear. When I say qi, again, very clear. You know what letter I'm saying. And if I say qu, again, it's very clear what I'm saying. It's only when they are sakin, you say up, that then you sort of struggle to understand if you do not apply the qalqala. Okay, so we have min qablihim. We can see that we have a, okay, well, I'm going to stop there. I'll discuss the mim sakin rule when we move on, inshallah. So Sister Radia, let's do this from the beginning again. وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِن قَبْلِهِمْ.
وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِن قَبْلِهِمْ.
So a couple of things. The qaf, don't forget the qaf, I want heavy. And also, was it the first? I think it was the first dal. I could hear a lot of air with it, right? So remember, I want more of the sound of your voice. If it's air, it's وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ
وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ
مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ.
مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ.
That's better. Jazakumullahu khairan. Okay, for the next one, I'm going to ask Auntie Nasreen. We'll say this next part, inshallah. Okay, let's recite it together first. فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرٌ.
فكيف كان نكير.
Okay, there was almost like a pause. I want you to smooth after the fa, this fa. I want you to smoothly go to the kaf. فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرٌ.
فكيف كان نكير.
Now, the last fa is much better. I can hear it's a lot lighter, it's a lot airier than the first one. So I want them both the same. Fa, fa, fa at the beginning as well. فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرٌ.
فكيف كان نكير.
Again, Auntie, please.
فكيف كان نكير.
Much better. Jazakumullahu khairan. The ya here, of course, when we say فَكَيْفَ, we saw the ya yesterday. The ya is a rakhawa letter. It's one of the ones that you keep running, just like we kept the dhal running when we said كَذَّ فَكَيْفَ. Okay, the ya is also one that you keep running. And sometimes having these rakhawa letters is very beneficial because it actually helps with, because if you had to keep swiftly moving from one letter to the next, sometimes it can get challenging, you know, especially if you move from a heavy letter to a light letter. But sometimes when you have these parts of a word where you have to sort of, you can stay there for a little while, it gives you that time to adjust and prepare for what's coming next. Okay, so we have, we just need to be careful for the endings here. When we say فَكَيْفَ and كَانَ, the fa and the na should only be one count. You don't want to make them long, especially after making the ya, staying on the ya. It's very easy then make the fa longer as well, to say فَكَيْفَ كَانَ, right? فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرٌ. Again for me, please, Auntie.
فكيف كان نكير.
Jazakumullahu khairan. Okay, I am going to ask some of the other sisters now to also recite. So first go to Papuji Ruksana. If you can recite, we're going to recite the first part, inshallah. وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ.
وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ.
Good, mashallah. What we do is, Papuji, for the dal, be careful that you don't don't smile too much when you say the qalqala. Keep your mouth relaxed. وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ.
وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ.
MashaAllah, your ikhfa is very nice. Allah bless you. MashaAllah, good. You're doing that very well. The dal is a little bit airy, the first one. The second one is actually okay. It's more the first one, say kadha, right? I want to hear the sound of your voice. وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ.
وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ.
So we've got also just be careful of kasras property, not lihim, lihim.
قَبْلِهِمْ.
Okay. And then one other thing for the dal property, what I've noticed is for the dal, when you're saying the dal, you start off with your voice and then you end with air. So you're saying kal, and then at the end I just hear a bit of air. Remember, a very light touch. Keep pushing with the sound, kal, and only stop the sound when you're going to carry on going. Actually, you don't stop the sound. You keep the sound going even when you say the. Kallab. Okay? So keep the sound pushing all the way. وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ.
ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم
كذب
كذب
كذب.
كذب
That's a bit better. ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم.
ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم.
Just be careful, Papaji, when you say the qalqala here, you want the bounce to be a little bit quick. If you take the qalqala too slow, then it sounds like you're saying qabalihim. Qabali, you see qabalihim. You want qabalihim. Min qabalihim.
من قبلهم.
Yes, that's much better. Jazakumullahu khairan. Sister Saira, if I can get you to say the next part. So we're going to say from here till the end. Just make sure. Yeah, she's ready. Okay. فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرٌ.
فكيف كان نكير.
Relax a bit for the kaf now. The kaf is good. You've got your humps. You've got the right makhraj. But we don't want to over-exaggerate it. So just relax a little bit. فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرٌ.
فكيف كان نكير.
Good. The ra at the end, now again, we can see that the ra, when we read it, we're stopping. So we are putting in sukoon. We check the letter before, which also has a sukoon. We check the letter before, it has a kasra. Therefore, this ra is read light. Okay. But the ra is not an airy letter. It's a letter where you hear the sound of your voice. So you don't want to hear nakir, this air at the end. Nakir, nakir. Try that, Saira.
نكير.
We'll try that again. فكيف كان نكير.
فكيف كان نكير.
Yes, that's better. Jazakumullahu khairan. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Sister Humera, we'll do the next one, inshallah, from the beginning again. So I hope everybody at home is practicing this as well. Each time I'm saying it, you say it as well. So let's try the first part. وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرٌ. Sister Humera?
Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, that's okay.
ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير.
Okay. So the dal is again the dal, I can hear some air with it. Your kafs, we have three kafs towards the end. So we have one here. I mean, there's one earlier on, but towards the end you got this one, and then you got the one in kana, and you got one in nakir. Now the oh no, which one was it? Okay, I think it was the first one or the second one. I just want you to make them all sound the same, because I could hear the humps in two of them, and then in one of them I couldn't. Okay, so maintaining the same, because part of Tajweed is that whenever you see the letter under the same circumstance, they should all be equally pronounced. They should have this exact same makhraj, the same qualities, everything. So we'll try the last bit again. فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرٌ.
فكيف كان نكير.
Yeah, it's that middle one. Okay, so relax a bit for the first one. I feel like the first one is a bit
okay.
Yeah, فكيف كان نكير.
فكيف كان نكير.
That's better. Let's say it from the beginning. وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرٌ.
ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير.
جزاكم الله خيرا. Ruxana, we'll do the whole ayah now. وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرٌ.
ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير.
Not bad. For the ikhfa, Papaji, remember to block completely.
Hmm.
Block completely. And I think there was one other thing, but inshallah mention it. So for the qaf, remember for the qaf, and also when you say the fatha, Papaji, of the qaf, you want to make sure it's heavy. So after you've held it and gone min qa, keep going with your heaviness. Finish the fatha, then the light ba. وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرِ.
ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير.
مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ.
من قبلهم.
It sounds like when you're touching the makhraj of the qaf, Pupuji, you are going there, but it's a very light touch. So you say min, and what min, press so that
Okay.
none of the sound can come through your mouth. Min, block it completely and with a bit of pressure. Min qablihim.
من قبلهم.
That's a bit better. Min qablihim.
من قبلهم.
So say aqqa.
أقى.
Aqqa.
أقى.
Yeah, I think the makhraj is a little bit weak because you've got a little bit of air. So you say almost like a when you let go.
Okay.
Aqqa. So
أقى.
that's better. Now say min qa.
من قى.
Yeah, we can still a little bit more when you press. Min qablihim.
من قبلهم.
Yes, that was better. That was better. Jazakumullahu khairan. Sister Radiya, let's try it from the top. Jazakumullahu khairan, Papaji. وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرِ.
ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير.
Okay, so yeah, your ikhfa is not too bad. It's the heavy qa after. So you want to say min qa. So make the qa with the qaf with the fatha also has to be heavy. I know we're trying to make sure we make the ba light because the ba, we have to make sure the ba is not heavy. But what you want to do is you want to at least complete the heaviness of the qaf first. Min qablihim.
من قبلهم.
That's much better. Jazakumullahu khairan. Auntie Nasreen?
Yeah.
Let's start from the beginning. وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرِ.
ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير.
Okay, so just be careful of the noon here. We want to say الذين, so not no. Yeah, it's gone a little bit heavy, so keep it light. And the fa onto at the end, فكيف, only one count. So فكيف ka, go straight to the kaf after. Okay, don't prolong the fa. Okay, وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرِ.
ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير.
Yes,
كان نكير.
there you go, mashallah. Well done, he spotted it, alhamdulillah. Yes, that's right. So you just need to make sure that noon is also one count too.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, jazakumullah khairan. Just one thing, Auntie, I'm not going to make you read it again, but just be careful when you're joining the lam, you don't want to hold it too long because it's a tawassut letter. You hold it less time than you do the dal. كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ. We don't say كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ. You see, the lam is too long. Remember, it's tawassut, not too long, not too short. Go ahead.
كذب الذين
Yes, that's better. So we'll try that again. كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ.
كذب الذين
Jazakumullahu khairan, well done. And then finally, Sister Syra, let's have a go. وَلَقَدْ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرِ.
ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير.
That's it. Just remember the ra at the end. We don't want an airy ra. We want your voice. Nakir.
نكير.
That's better. Jazakumullahu khairan. Okay, we will stop there inshallah. And I hope to see you all tomorrow. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al-Hakim wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikri al-Hakim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.